kill in the city of Los Angeles alone, 200 tons of dogs and cats a month are ground up and fed back to our pets or our food animals. I look over, Oprah's eyes are as big as saucers. I know I got her. Oprah looks at the guy from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and says, Dr. Weber, are we feeding cows to cows? I'll never forget what he had to say. Let me define that going on. Well, as near as I could tell, 90% of the cattle being fed in factory feedlots were eating the remains of other animals. And Oprah, the next damn thing out of her mouth, gets us sued. She said, that just stops me cold. I'll never again eat a burger. Yeah. Now, I knew that there were 13 states that had a food disparagement law. And the food disparagement law says it's against the law to say something you know to be false about a perishable commodity. Well, I didn't say anything I thought to be false. I told the truth. We're taping the show. It takes a couple of hours. We get done. I walk up to Oprah and I said to her, hey, Oprah, give me 10 minutes. I'll get you off the chicken. She looks at me and says, only one animal a day. Well, I go about my business. A couple of weeks later, USDA and FDA did exactly what I called for. They banned the feeding of cows, sheep, and goats back to cows, sheep, and goats. And I thought, whoa, right on. Yeah. And then I get a phone call from a national magazine that says, do you realize you're being sued along with Oprah, Harpo Production, by a group of Texas cattlemen? I said, no. Can I put you on hold? I put them on hold. I raced into my library. I started inventorying my vegetarian cookbooks. I knew those cattlemen wanted those cookbooks bad. I went and said, I can't talk to you now. I put in a call to Oprah and I said, hey, Oprah, we lose this suit. I'm throwing in my vegetarian cookbooks. You've got to put up the money. We're being sued in Amarillo, Texas. I don't know how many have been to Amarillo, Texas. Yeah, you know, if you're going to give the world an enema, take the hose to Amarillo. Not the end of the world, but it's clearly visible from there. And I get to Amarillo and here's bumper stickers all over town that said the only mad cow in Texas is named Oprah. Oh, I knew we were in trouble. The largest employer in Amarillo was the slaughter facility killing cattle. I said to my lawyer, I said, we need a change of venue. We go see the judge, a 76-year-old lady, a tough old heifer, and we said to her, Your Honor, we'd like a change of venue. She picked up the hammer, slapped it down, said, motion denied, bring in the jury pool. 140 people filed into the courtroom. You never saw so many hats, boots, and belt buckles in all your life. I leaned over to my lawyer and said, we better write the appeal today. We ain't got a chance. At the end of the day, we had 12 jurors absolutely steeped in the cattle culture. My lawyer looks at me and said, tomorrow they're going to call you to the stand. Said, the first question they're going to ask you, is it not true that you are a vegetarian? I said, I can handle that. He said, you better or we're going to lose. Sure enough, they call me to the stand. I'm up there, they swear me in. Plaintiff's attorney is looking at the jury, laughing and snickering, and says, you know, I can't hardly say this, but Mr. Lyman, is it not true that you are a vegetarian? I looked at the jury and said, I will not apologize for that has saved my life. And the jury is sitting over there nodding their head, and never again in that trial did we talk about me being a vegetarian. But we talked about everything else, day after day, question after question, and finally the plaintiff's attorney looks at me and he says, Mr. Lyman, has anybody ever called you irresponsible? I said, yes. My lawyer's sitting over there going, no. The plaintiff's attorney thinks he's found the key to the Gordian knot. He said, who? I said, my wife. The jury is sitting over there nodding their heads saying, been there, done that. We're in that courtroom for 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, that jury, absolutely steeped in the cattle culture, finds Oprah, Harpo Production, and myself not liable. The cattlemen cannot believe it. They are spending millions of dollars and they're losing. So they immediately appeal it to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. We're in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals for a year. They come back with a unanimous panel decision that Oprah, Harpo Production, and myself are not liable. And then in their opinion they said, everything that Lyman said on the show was true, and the truth is not actionable. The cattlemen asked for a rehearing, and it was denied, and then they turned around and sued us in state court. Not being from the state of Texas, thank God I had the right to move it from state court to federal court. Oprah said that's the bus I want to be in on. And so here we are, 6 years after the trial, hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees, right back in front of the judge. The department threw the case out with prejudice, which meant they could not refile it, that the statute of limitations had run out. But ask yourself this question. Why was the cattle industry willing to spend millions of dollars to drag us through 6 years of court for telling the truth? The one thing that this business cannot stand is people knowing the truth about what they do. I started out on the lecture circuit talking about bovine spongiform encephalopathy, mad cow disease. USDA and FDA changed the law and banned the feeding of cows, sheep, and goats back to cows, sheep, and goats. But the indicator that an animal may have mad cow disease is the fact that they cannot walk. They are non-ambulatory. They are known as downers. Look what just happened. 145 million pounds of meat, that much of it went into the American school system, came from a slaughter facility where they were dragging cattle into the kill floor. And the guy in charge of the plant said, oh, well, we don't do that. They showed him the video and he said, well, I sure didn't know about it. Do you think that that's the only plant that this is happening? Is there anybody in their right mind that thinks that we have a product that is edible? The fact of it is we have 4.5 million people in the United States today that are being diagnosed with Alzheimer's. 2 studies, one down at Pittsburgh Veterans Hospital. They found 5.5% of the people that were diagnosed with Alzheimer's that died really had the human form of mad cow disease, CJD. Did a like study at Yale University and they found 13% were misdiagnosed. Well, let's look at 4.5 million. If 10% are misdiagnosed, and our government is saying, don't worry, we only have 1 case per million Americans, which would be 300. Those studies indicate we have 450,000. Do you think this issue has gone away? Do you think we're headed in the right direction? Do you see how important this event is? Yes. This event is not only to come and have a good time and eat good meals, but to get information to share with your